more conflict.
The only reason the courier case is even become an issue is because of me wanting to keep control of that situation before it became a situation. That's why.
I can feel it coming in the air tonight, oh Lord. And I've been waiting for this moment for all my life, oh Lord. Can you feel it coming in the air tonight, oh Lord, oh Lord. Well, if you told me you were drowning, I would not lend a hand. I've seen your face before, my friend, but I don't know if you know who I am. Well, I was there and I saw what you did. I saw it with my own two eyes. So you can wipe off that grin. I know where you've been. It's all been a pack of lies. And I can feel it coming in the air tonight, oh Lord. Well, I've been waiting for this moment for all my life, oh Lord. I can feel it coming in the air tonight, oh Lord. Well, I've been waiting for this moment for all my life, oh Lord, oh Lord. Well, I remember, don't worry. How could I ever forget? It's the first time, the last time we ever met. But I know the reason why you keep this silence up. No, you don't fool me. The hurt doesn't show, but the pain still grows. It's no stranger to you and me. I can feel it coming in the air tonight, oh Lord. I've been waiting for this moment for all my life, oh Lord. I can feel it tonight, oh Lord.
What's up, peeps? How's everybody doing? I got a little different lighting I'm trying. It's the same $7 light, but I actually turned my light off in the ceiling, and it looked really cool, but I couldn't read anything I wrote. So I turned the bulb, so only one of the bulbs are on, but a little different. Wanted to be a little more mysterious tonight, a little later time. I actually changed the time because me and the beautiful Miss Brooke went out and had tacos, and one of our favorite places in downtown Pittsburgh, Lawrenceville, if anyone's from around here. Everything on the menu is gluten-free, and I'm a celiac. Most of you probably know that. So really good, incredible stuff. Best Brussels sprouts ever. I don't even know how to explain them. They fry them somehow, but anyways, let's say hi to everyone and then talk some Israel Keys. But before I even say hi to people, I got to thank Reg Dunlop from Discord, among other places and platforms. Also, the same Reg Dunlop who defeated me this past week in fantasy football. See, I didn't play David Moore for the Chicago Bears, and much like the Scarecrow in The Wizard of Oz, I don't have a brain because he scored 49 points, and well, it happened. So, but he mentioned this in Discord. I keep putting up Ted Bundy, hoping someone's going to bite on him. That's okay. People aren't interested. Maybe just did too much Bundy to movies and stuff, but I know a lot about him. But one of the reasons I like to do this is because I didn't know a whole lot about Israel Keys till I knew right away he was going to win because he was up big in the voting. So today's Wednesday, so probably I posted that Monday night. I really started getting into it. I knew the basics of him, and this is a guy that you're going to have to. I mean, we're going to have to cover this over a period of episodes, which I'm willing to do. I don't know if Frosty's in the chat tonight or if he's at work, but he mentioned a case that he knew in Indiana, a possible link. So I'll lay all this out to you tonight. He's done some of the most sadistic things that I've ever heard of. And I'll talk about some of them tonight. And this guy is a very organized, sadistic, psychopath. He's a fucking psychopath. He's not the textbook definition of anything. So I don't want to say he's textbook definition of psychopath, but let's say hi to everybody. I don't know if this time's a good time. I'm up for this. If I was watching TV, I'd be dozing off, depending on what I was watching, but maybe later times are good. Jinx is in there first. Louise, what's up? How are you? These guys are all over the circuit. Hi, Watha. Scared yet? Yeah, this is this guy's a scary dude. There's no question about it. He is, yeah. And there's a lot of reasons for it. He's not a monster, an ogre-looking guy. You know, he's a normal-looking guy. And he had a girlfriend and I don't know if he had a wife, but a daughter. But hi, Wath. I saw you in the sleuth chat. I was listening to it while I was putting my notes together, where he had that guy on that Westfall, or I'm gonna screw his name up, whatever his name is. You know, I'm not going to talk about that too much tonight. I think the guy's believable. His values and views don't align with mine, which is all well and good. But the man needs to educate himself about the fluorifier because, you know, you could pick different points of that interview. And I Sleuth did a great job getting him, and he's going to come back. And I give the guy credit for coming on and not backing down from his, you know, his beliefs, whether I agree with him or not. But he needs to educate himself on the fluorifier. No disrespect or offense to him, but he come off is extremely ignorant to the fact of that fire. And I'm not want to knock him for that. Instead, I want to use him as an example of probably 70% of that community thinks the same thing. And in a way, a lot of us know more about the fluorifier than people that live there, right? Because they thought this is what happened at first. You know, we don't want to get too deep into that, but I just, you know, I'm looking forward. I'll watch the guy again. I appreciate him answering questions. I personally don't think he was involved in Delphi or Flora at this point. Let me say at this point. But anyways, good job, Sleuth, for having him on and getting a hold of him. And again, I give the guy credit. And an innocent man, this isn't always true, but an innocent man wants to go clear his name. an innocent man will come on. I thought it was very interesting. He said he never knew Elvis. Maybe he did, maybe he did. I don't know. But anyways, check that out. It's very interesting. And I see a lot of you folks were in there asking really good questions. And hey, Necessary Evil, how are you? Oh, we didn't start anything yet. We were talking before, as I'm going to talk in a little bit. And if you saw my community post, he was a Ted Bundy fan. And Necessary Evil pointed out in one of the comments back and forth that he wasn't a whole lot like Ted Bundy. And he was not at all. Israel Keys wasn't like anybody. And I'm going to get to that and why that if Israel Keys didn't get sloppy, whether he purposely got sloppy or not, some think he got caught on purpose. We'll talk about that. He never would have been caught. They never would have caught him. They didn't know that there was a serial killer. You understand? This guy was so all over the place that he put all the dots together and he corroborated everything. But hey, Mother of Dragons, how are you? Another great moderator for me. Yeah, Hiawatha, you're right. And Necessary Evil seems to know quite a bit about it too. I didn't ask you, I don't know, put you on the spot, but maybe one of these times you could come up if you want. Show your face, talk, whatever you want to do. And if anyone has anything that they could send me, kevlar148@hotmail.com. My Gmail is on my YouTube page, but either or. Well, hello, Ramona. Yeah, Jinx, the like. Help my algorithm. That's probably how that, not knocking the speech of anyone, that's probably how that Westfall or whatever, I'm probably saying this to keep saying his name wrong. That's probably how he says algorithm. That there algorithm. But hey, it's America. I would, the guy sacrificed for the country and he has the right to do whatever he wants to do as long as he's not hurting people. I don't have to agree with you. I would stand up for anybody in that situation. Yeah. So it's like Necessary Evil was also in some chats with you folks, huh? All right. Israel Keys. So I have a couple things that I'll show you. There's a couple videos. I've already shared a couple videos on my community page. Check them out. They're definitely very interesting. He talks about BTK. So this guy was a scholar. He studied serial killers and not kind of the reason we do. We might be here for different reasons. Some people like the gore. Some people like the stories. Some people find them attractive in some weird way. People like me want to like figure out how the humans work, how the human brain works, and what can push someone so into this doing things like this. We know because of the research, a lot of the times we know, and it's always almost always childhood related and relates to mom. Not every time, but quite a bit. There was the McDonald triad that they talked about. Some believe in it, some still don't. Or the homicidal triad, where you had enuresis, which is bedwetting, especially after they were already housebroken, especially after they were already potty trained, especially getting into their teens, they revert into bedwetting. But bedwetting late, fire starting, and cruelty to animals. We don't know about the bedwetting, but we know the cruelty to animals. We know the fire starting. This guy was committing burglaries at 10 years old. And it's very important for everyone to understand this. If someone's a burglar and they're burglarizing houses, short of like a drug addict that's throwing like a rock through a window and running and grab some, but they're spending time in these people's houses. Burglary, by the FBI's definition, is the predecessor to a sexual motivated crime. Richard Ramirez, so many of these guys were burglars, were peeping toms, BTK. They had this in their past. And being alone in a house and being with people's in their inner sanctums and inner drawers. Maybe you're looking for money, but here's the underwear drawer, and or this or that. And then they start taking things. And then Ramirez would move forward. he would watch people sleep, take pictures of people sleep, and they've done all kind of stuff like that. So that is a predecessor. So if you hear burglary, blah, blah, blah. In Delphi, when that happened, well, I'm sure the FBI went back and saw if there was a string of burglaries over the previous 2 years or so. And if there was, hey, do we get any DNA from that? Let's try to match it up to this. And it probably didn't happen because they would have had somebody that they would have been arrested. But that's very important to know, okay? So starting off with his childhood, Israel Keys, he's born January 7th, 1978. So he's a little bit older than me, would have been a little bit older than me. Richmond, Utah. And it was a Latter-day Saints family. They were very, very religious. Whatever religion at the time they were going after, they were incredibly, incredibly religious people. In 1983, they moved to Colville, Washington. It's a very rural area. One-room cabin, a tent for a time, too, while Dad built the cabin. There's no water or electricity in there. There's 10 of them in this one-room cabin. And for a while in a tent. Everyone was homeschooled. None of the kids went over to the doctor. Israel Keys, despite joining the Army, didn't have a birth certificate or a Social Security card. But he still was able to join the Army. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. But it's bizarre to say the least. So these were some really off the grid, people, the parents. I'm catching up on some chat here. I do too, because I can see a lot of people go back, especially what he said, in my opinion. And I wasn't reading all the chat during it, especially what he said about Galen. I mean, Sleuth could catch backlash from that. And maybe it isn't fair to him, but hey, people are pissed off and they're going to say what they're going to do. So I really think it was brave on both accounts. Yeah, I will. But you know what? I'll cover what I covered tonight, and please keep adding stuff here into the chat. Any corrections or anything that you can add, and then we'll definitely do another one of these, because this guy now, I want to know more about him. Anyways, I'll get to the chat here at the end. Guys, keep commenting. No, it's awesome. We have 14 folks in here. Not bad for 10:30. I don't know how this time is going to work. Maybe it's good, maybe it's not. But on with the story. So there's 10 of them in this shack, a cabin. Dad would spend a ton of time. I'm not meaning to laugh. Dad would spend time building the cabin. He'd go down a mountain to do work, and he said he'd spend hours in the woods alone praying together, or praying by himself. And they all said he was praying. He wasn't doing weird shit, supposedly. He was just out there praying. Well, okay. There's 10 kids at the house. I understand you need to pray. Maybe you pray when they sleep. I don't know. Whatever. Then they joined a church called the Ark. And in line with today's headlines, the Ark was a white supremacist church. They met a family, a guy named Chevy Kehoe, and he became friends with the Keys family. He later went on, he was part of this Ark church. He later went on to murder a family of people. Chevie Kehoe, Chevy Kehoe. He wasn't like a serial committer or anything like that, but it's just funny that how much violence was spawned, or I shouldn't say spawned, but were maybe nurtured in this church. So it was an ideological place more than a church, I would say, where it was more about races of people and that you need to do this and do that. It was almost considered like Amish. So far, reverted. These people didn't like light, didn't like electricity. Everything was going to bother them and ruin them and water down their bloodline. They're very worried about watering down their bloodline. So basically at age 10, he begins his criminal career with burglaries. He was stealing guns. He was making caches of guns between the ages of 10 and 12, where he would steal guns from people's houses, it'd be an eater house, steal guns, and he'd have had him in the woods and things like that. As a kid, he was kind of very proud of being able to sit in the woods for hours very still. And later in life, this would make him a very unfortunately effective killer as people came to him, which he's different in that regard too, as pretty much anyone else I've ever studied. Theft, burglary. He would also steal guns and sell them to older people in the town. And they would, I'm sure they wouldn't ask any questions. There's this 12, 13, 14-year-old kids selling me a weapon for a cheap price, I'll take it. He would do horrible things to animals. I'm not going to talk about him here, but just absolutely horrible things. He read the book Mindhunter by John Douglas at age 16. He said it disturbed him a little bit, but he understood kind of where the killers were coming from. He understood how someone could get to that point to commit these crimes, although he himself didn't feel that he was there, but he kind of understood, well, I could see why Ted Bundy did that. I could see why Franklin, the assassin, did that. I could see why all these folks did that. So he kind of identified with them. But he was from that, it spawned his thought process into profiling and all that type of stuff. He was a huge true crime buff. He was a very big serial killer guy, but he liked them for the wrong reasons. He admired their work, their art. As Robert Ressler used to say, you have to observe the art. John Douglas says that. You have to observe the art. And as sick as the art is, you have to observe the art. And he was very into that. So he would do all these horrible things. Again, we don't know about bedwetting. God, we don't even think the guy had a goddamn bed. But I would say that I would guess that he probably did. And who knows what happened in that church. They're preaching white supremacy. So who knows what could have happened to him as a child. Making no excuses, because bad things happen to a lot of people, and they don't go across the country and slaughter other human beings. So basically, his first crime that we know of that he admitted to was in 1996. This is before he went to the Army now. He was about, 17, 18 years old, and they were in Oregon, and there was a tubing thing where people would ride like inner tubes down. I don't know if you have that, guys, where you live. We do. There's a river right probably a quarter of a mile from me down the road, the Youghiogheny River. And people will get dropped off in a car about 3 or 4 miles upriver and just sit in inner tubes, and they'll tie them together, and they'll tie like goddamn 5 of them, put cases of beer and coolers, and just drink. And there's some points in the river where it's so low, like you might run aground and have to get out and walk a little bit because it's only up to your shins. But this is basically what they were doing here. So he kind of comes out of the brush and grabs this girl and pulls her into the weeds, and he forcibly, essays her very violently with a knife. He let her live, and he later told investigators, I don't know if I have the quote here or not. I shared it on my community page. It's in one of those things, but he said, I was kind of weak and I let her live, but I vowed to never make that mistake again. And as far as we know, he never did. He always finished his people off, or his victims off. So while he's in the service, we don't know of any murders in the service. He didn't admit to that, but he did admit to investigators about 2 essay attempts that he made overseas in different places. One was an Israeli student. One was a working girl in a different country. So before he goes to the Army, though, I think something very interesting happens. And I don't know if you guys know this. I'll check the chat here in a second. If even Necessary Evil knows this. He had a big falling out with his parents where he basically told them he was an atheist. And they would say, get out, you're shunned, you're out of the one-room cabin, you have to go on your way. They forbade his sisters and brothers to talk to him ever again. And one sister was named America. I can't find too much else about the family so far, but there were some out there folks, obviously. And I don't know if the family ever talked to him again after this. So basically, they kick him out, and he's very antisocial leading up to this point too. He's doing weird things. Mom doesn't think anything's crazy or off with it, but they are living in a cabin in the woods, and they're a bizarre family. So who knows where their moral compass points or whatever. But at this point, he gets shunned, and he thinks to himself he wants to do some kind of satanic sacrifice. So he tells his parents, this is where this comes from, okay? Psychologically speaking, he tells his parents, I'm an atheist. This is rebelling. Right? So everyone at that age, regardless of your background, you're going to do some kind of rebelling. So he tells them he's atheist. That's got to be horrible for them to hear. They don't want to hear that. So they kick him out. There's no maybe he was looking to fight back, or, hey, no, blah, blah, blah. They kick him out, and that's it. Well, what's worse than being atheist if your parents are these water walking, lunatic religion. This isn't no your run of the mill Christianity, Islam, Judaism. These people are touched, as some of my friends at work would say. They're touched. So what's worse than that? Satanism. I'm going to worship Satan. So were the feelings genuine or not? He shows tendencies later about it, but he never like says voices commanded me to do this or anything like that. He wasn't taken over, but he got to that point. So you talk about stressors, you watch some TV shows that with profilers, they talk about stressors and things like that. This would be a deal breaker. This would be probably at this point, he made a decision, whether it's subconsciously or consciously, that I'm going to kill people and I'm going to get pleasure. I'm going to derive pleasure from this. It might get to the point where I can only perform sexually if I'm inflicting some kind of pain on the other. So you've heard of S&M, sadomasochistic, the masochistic stuff. He's the M part. He's not hurting himself. He wants to hurt other people. And these guys will get to the point where they needed that. They needed that. So let me catch up with our chat here. I'm going to make sure I don't miss anything. Boom, boom, boom. Hi, honeybee. There's been quite a lot of things. If you follow Unsolved No More, it's an old retired detective who, for some reason, the name escapes me right now. Goodness gracious, he's a bald head like me. God, I can't remember. I can't think of his name. I don't know if he was based in Pennsylvania or he did work there, but he covers quite a few PA cold cases. We just wait for the next escaped prisoner from Pennsylvania because that'll be a story because our jail systems aren't. You think you got problems in Carroll County? We got dudes escaping the same jail the same way, like 2 months after the other guy did. Yeah, goodness gracious. Hey, Sandy. Oh, yeah, there was all kind of lives. What's up, Kelt? How are you? I didn't get to watch a whole lot tonight. There was some good stuff last night. I wanted to watch that interview and hear what that guy had to say. Yeah. Yeah, basically, yeah. Well, yeah, he was. That is what that is. That's basically what that is. That's a good way to put it, Hiawatha. They're practicing. That's what they're doing. They're practicing the feeling of, whatever they're cutting through or hanging or whatever it is. They're perfecting what they do. And not to sound cold or callous, but you have to look at this like if a kid's, he's into playing basketball. He practice that shot. If you're into golf, you're going to do that. If you're whatever you're into, this is what they're doing. They view this. They'll get a job. They'll be able to blend into society a lot because a lot of them are sociopathic. They're not all total psychopaths running down the street naked with blood all over them. They're psychotic, like this guy. Psychotic's much scarier than psychopathic. A psychopathic you can a lot of times identify. If it's not all the time, at least some of the time, they're going to just be I shouldn't say all the time. Most of the time, they're going to show tendencies where they are ape shit off the wall crazy. And they're just going to be like doing insane stuff. The psychopath has no feelings. And, the sociopath, the antisocial, all these people in this group, this really scary group, they'll mock feelings. They learn how to mock and imitate. Israel Keys, he didn't even try to imitate like he gave a fuck. Well, one of the interviews they came into, he was sleeping. And some people are like, oh, that's a tactic by him. I don't think so. I think the guy was sleeping. Now, I'm sure they have much more video that they can watch. Can they tell if he's sleeping or not? But just from that quick second or two, I think he's sleeping. Where anybody that's not crazy or doesn't give a fuck about any human life, you're going to be nervous in that interview room, whether you're guilty or innocent. But especially if you're guilty, you're like, shit, I got the orange jumpsuit. The FBI is coming in to interview me. I'm not going to be able to sleep or pretend I'm going to sleep. So, but that's what he did there. Yeah. He was very much rotten. There's people that could smell things. I believe that. Not maybe good or bad, but like that something's off. What's up, CJK? Yeah, honeybee, rest up. A few people were friends with their sick. Hopefully they all get better. Oh, here we go. He got in touch with some of his siblings. His parents never. Yeah. So there you go. I'm not saying this guy, if he stayed in that place, would have been a good, productive member of society, but that to me, that was like, that was, here we go. I'm going here, and I could go here, and I'm going back down now. Now here I am. I'm shot to fucking piece of shitness. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. Where were we here? So we don't think he killed anyone during the service. He didn't say that. And his crimes, murder, essay, burglary. The guy robbed banks. He robbed banks. Like, speaking of one bank robbery, and this is one of the things that I talk about when I say sadistic, and he laughed at this. So he never went. We'll get to the end of this. He never ends up going anywhere or anything. None of this actually gets 100% sorted out. So we don't know exactly how many. They believe the number's 11. Officially or unofficially, because there's not really official. I think it's probably closer to 20. It's closer to 20 than it is to 10, if I had a guess. So we have a guy named Jimmy Tidwell, and he goes missing, and he's believed to be one of Israel Key's victims. He doesn't actually ever admit it, but they inclinate that they think it's him, and they lean his way. So he does a bank robbery in Texas, and they have a picture of him, and the detective's like, "Oh, that's fake. You have a wig on or whatever." And he laughs and says, I don't need a wig. I have the real thing. And it's believed that he scalped this man, Tidwell, and wore it on his head in a bank robbery. So that's something that I've never heard anything like that. And in the interview, it's kind of like, ha, 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 I have the real thing, and you don't see the detective talking to him, but you just hear him stop talking. Like, what? So a very bizarre thing. This guy was about a lot of bizarreness. Here's one of the huge problems, and I'm going to show you a couple of things here. I want to show you on the I have in my email. Here's one of the hard problems. Here's what a reason that if it wasn't for his fuck ups with the bank money, the Samantha Cunning murder, if it wasn't for that, and I'll cover that here shortly, if it wasn't for that, they probably never would have caught him unless they caught him committing the act or with some kind of extremely damning evidence in the car, which he never had because he didn't carry anything with him. He had kill caches or kill kits. We'll talk about that. But the main thing is he had no victimology. He didn't know any of these people, none of them. He knew nobody. He drove hundreds of miles to different locations, and he picked people out of however. A lot of times he would sit in places and wait in places for someone to come to him. He did not care about being alone in the woods for hours. It was a mission to him. And he would do these things. He would also break into homes in neighborhoods and take people out of there. He just did all kinds of things. But he mentioned that he was like a spider. He made a big spider web, and he sat in that web, and he waited for a fly to come by. And as soon as the fly got near enough to get stuck in the web, he came out real quick and he pounced. And that's what he did. There was a couple different ways that he would kill people. His favorite way was strangulation, Mr. Israel Keys. As he said that, he enjoyed feeling and seeing the life leave somebody. And that's why a lot of these people that do this, they do up close and personal, not guns. That's a hit. Hit's done with a gun. I mean, 9 times out of 10, or not that they're into anymore, they blow up your car. They're not coming up and they're not cutting you apart or doing anything like that. They might do that after, but it's boom. Usually the professionals, 2 taps, they leave the gun because it's whatever, untraceable, or however they do it now. I don't know if they do that anymore with DNA or not. Possible victims, they list 11, but you could see he's all over the place here. There's a Julie Harris. She was 13. She was a Special Olympics medalist in skiing. Cassie Emerson, 12. Then there's people that he admitted to killing that they never found the bodies. It's so hard to go through everybody. There was the Currier couple, William and Simone Currier in Vermont. He went in there in the middle of the night. So these murder kits that he has, I'll talk about that real quick. Then I'm going to show you a couple of video things I have. He would bury kits, 5-gallon drums, like Home Depot buckets, different things like that. And in them, he would have money. He would have ligatures. He would have different weapons, guns, ammunition. And he would remember where he buried them. And he would bury them years before in some occasions. And that's highly, highly unlike serial killers, that they have the patience and they have the wherewithal to not go back there right away and get that and serve that need that they have. It's almost like a drug. And it's so bizarre. I couldn't find anyone else that did anything like this. I couldn't even find anyone in history that did anything like this. Now, there's kill kits that you'll talk about with deer hunters, but that's not what this is. And then there's ways that survivalists will bury things in the woods. And, years later, if they need it, there's a gun there, there's some food there and things like that. They remember where these things are. That's the only thing I could find about this. So when he's in the military, does he pick this up there? I don't know. He gets into the military with no social security number and no birth certificate. People have said that the military saw him as a super soldier, like just this supreme killing thing, and they were afraid of him. I can't corroborate that anywhere, but these are people that researched and wrote books about him. And they said, I can't tell you, but General so-and-so from the military told me this. They were like scared shitless of this guy. But anyways, let me show you a couple things here. As I remove that. I'm going to share my screen. And this is where he talks about Ted Bundy. So let's listen to this a little bit. I am checking my phone to make sure that the Barney Rubble tech person that I am, we're on the right thing here. Okay, here we go. Let's have a listen.
You read a lot, and that's where you read about a lot of other serial killers and reading about other crimes and that kind of stuff. Might be a weird question, but who's your favorite? We've talked about it, so we're kind of curious on who your favorite is.
Well, my favorite ones haven't been caught yet, so I guess I don't even know their names.
Smart ass.
That's a fair question.
That's actually a good response. Okay, of the ones who have been caught that you've been able to read about.
These FBI agents fucking hate him. They're just building rapport. That's all they're doing. They're building rapport.
We'll see who was right or who was closest for us.
I don't know. I favorite. I don't really feel like if what I've read about them is accurate, I don't feel that close to any of them. So I guess I identify most, or my favorite, if you have to put it that way, would be the ones that I identify most with.
Yeah,
so
that's a fair way to say it.
Real quick, Kelt said he had a wife and a girlfriend. Yes, most of these guys do. At some point, they actually hold down marriages. These are the psychotics, the people that are psychotic. They're not psychopaths running down the street again. They get this psychotic, sadistic. So yes, he was able to do that. He actually left one for another he met online. Yeah, as far as we know, he never hurt, and he certainly never killed any that we know of girlfriends. So
I don't know, maybe just going off of what I've read, Ted Bundy, maybe. I don't know. Just because I don't have a lot of respect for some of them because of the way they lived, I guess.
Sure.
I don't know. It's weird.
Did
I
you
like reading about all of them, but
Yeah, I
as
was
far
going
as
to
who I
ask
identify about
when did you start reading about them? When did you realize? I mean, did you start reading about them because you were curious about you, or was it a study guide, so to speak? I mean, that might be a weird question too. Did you learn things from to do, not do, or was it just curiosity of do you have anything in common with them? Is that you were looking for? Do you think?
Well, the first book I read was I think it was called Mind Hunter, and it was written by an FBI profiler.
John Douglas, right?
he says, I think it was called Mindhunter. That dude knew exactly what that book was called.
Yeah.
Great book.
I read that years and years ago,
Tremendous
probably
book.
when I was 15 or 16.
I encourage everyone to read it if you haven't.
And,
Listen to what he says here. This kind of gets to the heart of it.
I was, somewhat disturbed by it just because, I don't know, it's always been that way. It's always felt like I was kind of reading about myself in a lot of those books.
Now that's fucking disturbing. Again, so he's seeing himself. He's taking the point of view of the killer that's being studied, when most of us will take the point of view of John Douglas. John Douglas is walking us through his journey, and you're John Douglas, and you're walking in to interview Charles Manson or this or that. He's the Charles Manson getting interviewed by John Douglas. He's Ed Kemper. He's these guys.
Not the myself that everybody knew, but
What did that? I mean, did that worry you, concern you, make you think it was?
Well, at first it was, like I say, at first I was pretty conflicted about it, but that was all just because of the way I'd been raised and stuff. And I grew up with good people. I was never, everybody's always nice to each other and everything's all sunshine and roses. And so that's why it was disturbing to me, because it seemed like for a long time I either thought everybody else was faking it and everybody was like me, they just didn't act like it, or I figured that I was.
So right here, he puts himself, he separates himself as different. He's demonic. He's evil. He thinks that he's evil. It's such a telling thing and I believe he's telling the truth to these guys right now, because he wants his story eventually to get out the way that he wants it to get out. And I see there's a lot of good things in the comments here. Someone said they're too tired, they could to research it maybe tonight. Well, listen, here's the thing with Israel Keys. Not a lot is known. So you guys dive into this. I mean, you literally could find something out about him that no one's kind of putting together, or something that's under the radar. So a lot of the cases that we look at are so, they're picked apart to goddamn infinity. Like there's not really much else you can do with things. You keep people have same episodes and the same things over and over. But with Israel Keys, there's a lot there, and there's not a lot of people talking about him. I mean, admittedly, myself, I knew just the very basics. And just after tonight, I know maybe 20% of what I want to know about him now. But anyways, a couple more bars from this here.
Demon child or whatever, I don't know. But, I mean, all that went away when I was in my 20s. I didn't feel bad about it anymore.
So that's right there. He tells you that. And again, I believe he's being very honest here.
But I mean, all that went away.
So he don't care in his 20s. Let's be honest. He didn't care probably at 16, certainly at 18. So it's probably before his 20s. So he's just kind of like, kind of bringing it all in there. So let me remove that. And let me show you my next thing I like to show you. I'm still not great at this, but I'm better than I was when I started. Oh, I don't know why it doesn't keep my darn, give me a second, guys. It doesn't keep my darn Gmail open for me. All right, sorry everybody. I don't know what in the heck happened there. But let me share this now. I believe I could do it now without screwing anything up, because it's a really good article I would like you guys to check out. Yes, here it is. Okay. So this was a news article, August, obviously 13, 2013. And basically what it is they're looking for information of anyone that might have had anything to do with Israel Keys, basically, because they want to find more murders and be able to do different things. So this is basically like a thing from the FBI. So they put this out. This is the FBI deal. They show a little bit of the interview. After Israel Keys was arrested for the murder of 18-year-old Samantha Cunning, which we're going to get to next. That's the one he went down for. Initially, authorities realized the man they had in custody was a prolific serial killer. Keys freely admitted to as much. But listen, the FBI was not stalking a serial killer. They did not put all this together until he put it together. Okay, he put all this together. So could he go in Alaska for the death penalty or for life in prison for one murder? Yeah, it's possible, but probably not. A guy that was in the military, as far as they knew, there was nothing else going on. So this is what gets to this guy like this, and he has to control this narrative. And in my opinion, and in some of these other profilers' opinions, he controlled the narrative. He had the power to the very end, right? He wanted a death sentence. Oh, it's going to take you. No, it should take a year, he said. This takes more than a year. So he took his own life. In his mind, twisted as it was, that's the ultimate act of power. He has the act of power. The final, I'll show you guys, you're not going to keep me here for 15 years. He said life in prison would be a death sentence. And then he told him, he's like, I don't need your help. And he basically told him what he was going to do. And yeah, they watched him. But at the end of the day, hey, do what you're going to do. So he was a sometimes construction worker. Israel Keys is one of the interesting Google image or Google map things. There's actually a picture of Google Maps that they took of Israel Keys' work truck and him next to it. I don't know if they took him off and still have the truck now or not, but no. So he drops clues. He does a lot of these things. So he gave us a number of clues, said Special Agent Jolene Godin in our Anchorage division. He talked openly about some of the homicides, but much of what he said only hinted at things he had done. So we're trying to get information out there. So they have all these little pieces that he gave them. And I'll be spoiler alert in case you didn't know, he committed suicide at the very end. I think I just gave that away anyway. So he's out of the mix, so they can't go to him anymore. But they have a map. That's the map that I showed. It begins in 1997, which basically is the crimes that the FBI have been tracking. So Samantha Koenig is the one that he actually gets caught for. She's in a coffee shop. He grabs her. He takes her, pulls her out. There's a few other things that happen. They walk around the city for a while. It's beyond bizarre, but all these things are going down, and He goes back to her house to get her debit card. Her boyfriend comes out and he runs back in to get help. It's so weird, all of it. Basically, he kills Amanda Koenig. The next day, he tries her card out. It works. She gives him the code. He takes her to this shack that he has nearby. He essays her. He kills her. He gets in his car and he goes from Alaska, and however you do ship-wise, I'm not a fucking geography major, but he takes his car from Alaska, gets back to the mainland United States. I don't know if whatever he does there. He drives all the way to New Orleans, okay? And he gets on a fucking cruise ship. He has a cruise book. He goes on a cruise for a week. I think it's a week. I don't think it's quite 10 days. He gets back. He drives back to her, and she's still in the shed. 18-year-old Samantha Cunning, still in the shed, haven't found her. The police at first didn't take it serious. She, had some, maybe ran away before or had some issues at home or whatever. So they didn't take it serious, right? Keys took her phone, sent text to her boss and text to her boyfriend about, hey, I'm out of here. I had a really bad day. Here is where she was taken from. It was one of the little coffee joints. Okay. Right now, as you see here, there's a transcript. The FBI believes there's 11 victims. I'll share this on my community page. I don't want to sit here and just read stuff to you. So basically, I'm going to tell you what this picture is here in a second. So basically, he goes back there. He has an old newspaper. He asked for a ransom. And why did he ask for the ransom? Some people think, well, he asked for the ransom. He wanted to get caught. This was galactically stupid by this very smart, very organized killer. Well, he asked for $30,000. They say, yeah, we'll give it to you. Prove she's alive. So he takes a picture with this old newspaper, and there's some debate on this, but he propped her eyes open, and there's multiple reports that he sewed her eyelids open in this picture, posed her to look like she was alive with this newspaper, and the detectives couldn't tell if she was alive or not. Well, she was dead. They deposited the money. Apparently, the family went around town and got people to donate money. They deposited the money to an account that was linked to this debit card, right? How smart is that for this Israel Keys? The picture you're seeing is he cut a hole with a chainsaw in the ice, and he stuffed Samantha Koenig's body in that lake right there. That is what that picture is, okay? Here's the car. As you see, he would always get rent-a-cars. And again, he'd always pay with cash. He wouldn't take anything because he would always have his shit already buried. He would just drive back to that area. He drove the car 2,847 miles. Kia Soul. Them little hamsters. Here's a couple pictures of his kill kits, so you have an idea what he looks at. He called them kill caches. A lot of people just call them kill kits now. Many different things in there. He'd have them hidden. You go over here in, kind of cave-like areas. Drano, he said, was for body disposal. Cache there. Weapons, money, all kind of stuff. So he would leave them there and then drive it. There is a suicide letter that he left. It's going to be hard to read on here. I shared a link in one of my with Necessary Evil. I think it was her. I'm pretty sure it was you that asked about it. And I shared it there so you can read it. But I could share it again. This is kind of hard to read, but it's kind of his manifesto. There's like no clues or anything in there. It's just like a convoluted kind of mess. In the pictures and this, he does write in his own blood. So that's, yeah, these are the places he was. You see, he was even over here. That was the military service. So kind of a Rex Huerman type deal, like anywhere this dude went, right? I'll share this again. We're not going to cover all these movements. Goodness gracious. Be better off calling a goddamn bingo card than doing that. So let's jump back in here. We'll take that off of there. So again, all kind of wild things. I just recently on my community page actually shared one of the interrogations. They're about 54 minutes long. There's a couple of them. But if this sparks your interest at all, guys, like I said, this is as far as true crime goes, this is kind of like fertile ground, I guess, because not a lot of people were talking about it. Once he killed himself, everyone was like, whatever, the story's over. But it's really not, because there's a lot of people out there that loved ones they don't know what happened to, or maybe they think he was there. There was, I think it was Stephanie Spicer, I think's the name. I want to get with Frosty on. I'd love to bring Frosty on and do one there because he was kind of investigating her case a little bit. So let me go into the chat because you guys have been talking, I think, here. And you have a lot of questions that I don't have answers to, but I will get. I am sure. So let me get back up here. I want to make sure if I messed anything up, we get it right. People Googling, good. Oh, I didn't know that. That's interesting. Okay, here we are. Oh, did I get that Celt comment in there? Oh, what'd I do? Hold on. So it look like he has a lemon in his mouth. All right, catch up here. Yeah, so Necessary Evil, I would definitely like to have you on here with your firsthand, I guess, kind of knowledge of the case. Well, thank you, Kel. Like I said, I'm very interested now in this guy because it's just kind of tip of the iceberg. We owed it to Reg Dunlop. He mentioned it, and I put him on the voting thing on my community post, and he blew everyone away. Be Jack the Ripper and old Ted Bundy. Wow. That's yeah, holy crap. Did not know that. I had the same reaction, Louise. I'm very sorry to hear that, Necessary, but huh. Wow. You should do an episode. You should get on get a channel. I don't know if you have stuff, lives or anything. I don't know if you do or not. So, people will help you. Oh, wow. Goodness gracious. Daniel Conahan. Oh, wow. Wait a minute. I know that name. I've seen something about him before. I can't remember where. Genetic genealogy, yeah. Wow, yeah, that's crazy. If you ever want to come on even talk about that sometime. As we all do. The Hog Trail murders, yep. I think that was the name of the documentary or something that I watched. Well, yeah, I don't know, Kel. Especially after what happened. I mean, I don't know if he booked the cruise ahead of time, but I assume he went by himself. I don't think he went with anyone else. And then he went back and did that. So, Oh, wow. That would be interesting, huh? He might have. Ruckus and Steve are out working Evansville. Did you find that picture? Did she look like she was still alive? I'm not sure what you're talking about, Kel. I'm trying to think. Oh no! Oh, the girl. Oh, Cunning. I haven't seen it. I haven't. I'm sure it's probably out there. I mean, yeah. I don't know. I haven't seen it, but I don't know. It's easy to criticize detectives and be like, this lady was in a shed for a week. Granted, it's Alaska, But I don't know. But no, I did not see that picture. Oh, you say glued. You can tell. Yeah, unless the detectives just said that, but supposedly that was the official line. We weren't sure if she was alive or dead, or. But you know what? It ended up getting him caught because so they put $30,000 in a bank account that links to this debit card that he stole from a dead girl. And hopefully I have this right, necessary. Uh, and he uses it. I don't know if he used it at a few places. They used it somewhere in Texas, and then they got him on the camera or whatever the case may be. Now, keep in mind too, this would have been around 2000 and was it 2012 or so. So it isn't like there's cameras and stuff, but it isn't like it is now, 2023. So there's a little less going on. But even early on, when this guy was doing his thing, he was turning his phone off. So he was very aware. He was very much into the true crime era before maybe YouTube took over, early on. I'm sure, I guarantee you this guy was on people's true crime channels in some way, shape, or form. If he wasn't on YouTube, he was doing other things. We already know he was reading books. So, but yeah, so that was another thing with him. Just no victimology, the kill kits. He did all this stuff. They never found anything, and there was no reason to suspect him. No one even knew who he was. He was in town for a couple of days. People came to him, but he takes $30,000 on a debit card that he's already stolen off a dead girl, and he's going to use it. So a lot of people believe he did it to get caught because he wanted his final phase to work. He wanted to become famous, and then he'd be put to death. Or if he'd be putting death too long, was just kill yourself. The final act of control to him. The final act of control. Hey, I'm going to die when I decide to die. And this is when I decide to die. Well, hey, at the end of the day, I don't know, killing anybody or anything like that, but that person cannot be salvaged. They're so evil. But could you stay around for another year and at least tell these people what happened or let people know what happened to their relatives? But no, they won't do it. So I would look. Yeah, I don't know if it is or not. I would look. But her name's Samantha Koenig. And again, it's I believe it's Koening, I believe. And this was in Alaska. She was a barista in that little picture I showed you there. Which states the kits were found in so far? Necessary Evil might be able to help with that. I'm pretty sure one was found in Vermont, where he used in the Courier murders, the husband and wife. I also believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think the police found 2 kits that he didn't use where he told them they were. Yes, the skull thing that they found. They believe it was his victim count, but I just, all these other things that they're looking to tie, and there's a lot of them. There's more than I even knew. There might be necessary, even there might be more than you even know within the last 6 months or year that they're trying to tie people, and they're saying, well, it's possible he was here. But we kind of just went through that a little bit, right? With BTK. Right, as he was here. Well, no, he wasn't there, and but we don't have him to talk to. We don't have Israel Keys to talk to, where they can watch him in an interview and say, "Oh, he's just fucking with the investigators. He's lying. He's telling the truth." We don't have that anymore. So, hey, Carbon, really cool to have you here. I am a fan of your channel. I like a lot of your videos are really cool. Oh yeah. So the Google Earth, yeah, go check out Carbon's channel. They have some really cool videos and stuff. But I found out today looking. Now I don't know if Google scrubbed that image now. If you look now, it's not there. But yeah, it's fucking him. He's on Google Earth. He had a construction type business. Yeah, and the other thing with victimology, it was men, women, children. It didn't matter. Now, he had said that he wouldn't kill any kids because he had a daughter and things like that. They're suspected of 2, 13 and 12. Whether he did or not, I don't know. he did care for his daughter, and I'm sure he cared for his wife and then the girlfriend later. And the other thing was this. I find this very, very, very interesting about him, and it's a thing that I've seen with other people too. I've seen it with John Wayne Gacy. Uh, they believe he was bisexual, and he would have homosexual experiences and heterosexual experience. I don't think I have to tell you guys what bisexual means, right? But you knew that. But they believed that he was, but he would never talk about it during the interview. He would never, ever talk about it. He would not go there. He would not say that he lured a guy with some kind of sexual thing. He would not go there. Why wouldn't he go there? You could have many different reasons why. Why? Who didn't he want to know? Did he not want to admit that? Did he not want his kids to know? What was it? But I'm telling you, it was true. The way that he acted when they brought that up, instead of saying, hell, I ain't know this or I ain't know that, it was like, we don't need to talk. We don't need to talk. Gacy would at least throw the F word around and different things like that and different homophobic slurs, but always would deny it. But these guys can't confront that. So something about them, that's something else that makes me believe that maybe something happened to him at a young age where he was SA'd by, it would be a male. These are tendencies that you see later in life, all the crazy shit that he does, right? That could link back to that. Having homosexual tendencies, but being embarrassed by them. Now, you've already broken free from your parents, so it isn't like you're living at home. You're excommunicated. You could openly be a gay man if you want to, but something embarrasses him about that. And a lot of times with guys that do John Wayne Gacy's, and I think he was too. At some point in his life, he was, in my opinion. People go back and forth with that with Gacy, but it always shows like this with these sick guys. You know what I mean? The guys that are just they can't fix themselves. They're just broken human beings, and they're inherently evil human beings, and they're not born that way. I truly believe they're not. They might be born with a screw or two loose, but I know a lot of guys with a couple screws loose, and they're really good people. They don't kill anyone. They'll come help you. Okay. Yeah, I saw that post up there. I didn't even really get a chance to read it. But yeah, if Jinx is in, you guys are in. I think I'm in. Let me know. Let me know. Let me know. Good. I think you need 50, right? I'm pretty sure I subbed you. I'll make sure that I don't whenever I do. There's Frosty. Oh yeah. It'll take you an hour to find where you are. I put a comment on real quick to get on talk. I put a comment on Discord, and 20 seconds later, I went back to I was like, oh, I think I spelled something wrong. I couldn't find it. I looked for like 20 minutes, and I'm like, I can't find this. I don't remember whose it was in, what thread, none of that. Couldn't remember any of it. So, yeah, that would be very interesting. I would have to read up on that too, but you know what? I could just let you talk, read questions from the gallery or ask you like things that I'm interested in, like profiling wise and shit like that. So it looks like somebody's seeing the picture. He's not the only one, huh? Well, keep talking. I like to hear. Yeah, I would imagine the picture is. I've seen crime scene photos, old crime scene photos. There's horrible ones like from the 30s and stuff. They would put like in the newspaper some of them, like the Black Dahlia. Like I don't think the whole picture like there's scenes from that. It's yeah. But what you want to look at if you're really investigating it is not like you don't want necessarily you want a big picture of the crime scene to make sure that there's no message being sent. Like you need to stand back and look, but you want to get to the finite details, the real close pictures of things, the way that they would tie a knot, the way that they do this, the way that they do that. So. No. Yeah, I see. I don't ever remember seeing that picture. Here's the Frosty angle he was talking. Huh. Well, that's odd. Yeah. I don't think it's crazy. Be interesting. Oh. Well, I don't know. Sometimes I just talk too much. I'm glad just to make sure that everyone understood what it meant. Now everybody knows what it means. Whoops. Hit these comments. Yes. Well, there's a lot of different ones now. I just learned pansexual. There's another one, and I don't know these things. People have to tell them to me. I'll call you what everyone wants you to call you. But it's good to know the designation. And so you're hearing like things like on TV and stuff. You're like, what the fuck are they talking about? At least you know what you're talking, what people are talking about. But as long as you're not hurting anybody or, yeah. I am going to buzz through some more of these comments here. We're at 1:11. This was good. I appreciate everyone coming in a little later in the evening than usual. Yeah, see, I heard the wife, but yeah, well, that would have been what he would have admitted. Yeah, hey, that's that would go in line with what I thought. Maybe. Yep, that's another one. Glad we straightened everyone out with the birds and the bees tonight. In case you didn't know. Paul Klein. I can't remember. You might be right. It's one of them. Yeah, I've seen that. If it's a few years old, if there's a new one, I'll have to go check it out. Wow. Yeah, you did tell me that. That was interesting, Frosty. I have to do like a couple episodes about this for sure. Kelt, Necessarily Evil's been around 2 serial killers. Oh. Yeah. Careful hanging around Necessary Evil, huh? Well, this was a big wanted to give you like a big swath of information. I think I covered everything that I had that I wanted to talk to you about. The key points were this guy showed at a very young age that he was going down a path that was bad. This was happening in the 1980s. So it wasn't the 1990s or 2000s, but it wasn't the 1950s either. People were understanding a little bit about criminal psychology. So by the time you get to like 88, 89, when he's turning 10, 11, 12 years old, prepubescent, things that he's doing should be setting off alarm bells. But again, you don't have the family I'm not even sure what's going on there. They're real focused on religion, but doesn't seem like they're kids. But so it just continues on. And just somewhere he lost his humanity. The guy had no humanity, none whatsoever. You look at different people, they'll cry, they'll do this, they'll do that. Some of them are faking it, but they have humanity to a certain point where they know that they should cry. Hey, I can make myself cry. I can make myself look sad. So I'm going to go ahead and do it. He didn't even give a fuck to do that. It was just nothing. It was so matter of fact. And I've heard a lot of these guys talk in interviews, and they're pretty matter of fact. But at some point, Ed Kemper breaks down and cries, right? Ted Bundy breaks down and cries, whether they mean it or not. I think Ed Kemper did mean it. I don't think Ted Bundy did. But he doesn't even feel that necessary. It's a formality. I don't need to do that. Let's keep it real. I'm a killer. I'm one of the best ever, and you're a cop, and I'm not going to pretend like I give a fuck, because I don't give a fuck. And I don't care about all the people that I killed, because he didn't. Not one bit. Someone asked me before, and we were talking about this at work, is it possible that he forgot his number of people? Well, I've never heard of a killer that doesn't keep that a number close to their brain at all moments. But this guy did so many things that I've never seen before. And that's why I'm intrigued by him. No victimology whatsoever. They never would have caught him. He never would have been caught. Not only would he have been caught, I don't think they ever would have been able to put this together. How are these crimes connected? He's in a field here, and a guy comes in a field. He's in a cemetery over here, and someone walks by. He goes to a house here. He pulls a woman out of a coffee shop. Like, how? And his last kill was in Alaska, where he was living. If he doesn't do that, he doesn't get caught. I truly believe he doesn't get caught. Because he's retreating back to Alaska. He's doing this in New York. He's doing this in Maine. And the last thing I'd like to say about him is, different than everyone else I know or have researched, David Berkowitz talks about, when they asked him, how often did you go prowl and look for people to shoot, guy, girl in a car, which was his MO. It's what he looked for. Shoot the girl, girl, he will be on a sidewalk, girl on a sidewalk, guy on a seat, they're in the car doing whatever in the 70s, boom. He said he was constantly hunting. Whenever he drove around, constantly looking. Oh, could she be the one? Could they be doing? Is this car good? Is this car good? What he was doing, Israel Keys, everywhere he drove, he was constantly looking for places to set his spider webs up. Constantly. So he's all over the country. And everywhere he drives, he said he would look and see, hey, is this a place that I could do something here? And he would remember it. And he'd be a little familiar with it, but not familiar enough where anyone would see him or know him. So that's what he did. Let's see where we are. I'm going to finish up here. Let everyone. Tyler Perry. Some of them do. Keys kind of did here at the end. And after he took all these precautions. So when people say, oh, he wanted to get caught, that sounds crazy, but maybe there's some merit to it. Disorganized killers, yes. The thing with disorganized killers, you might not have victimology, so to speak, but they're very sloppy. They're not taking precautions. They're not doing things that you would do. They're going to keep someone's underwear under their bed or something. You know what I mean? They're going to do things like that. Or they're going to be organized killers like Ted Bundy was, who descended into a disorganized killer. That rage, everything just ate him alive. And when he got to Chi Omega, he didn't take a weapon. He took a piece of wood, picked it up, went in and used that. So that's all very interesting, yeah. But the disorganized usually don't. So if it's a crime that's been going on for years and they haven't caught the person, they're probably an organized killer. I think that's a safe assumption to say. There's a lot of info, Kelt, but hey, look, I hope everyone goes and does some of their own research and gets back to us or shares with me or emails me stuff that you found. And again, this guy's gone. He's been dead for 11 years, I think now, or he killed himself around 2012. But there's not a lot of people talking about it. And there's not a lot of research on it. But the more you dig into it, it's just like, holy shit, this guy did this. But I'll definitely come back to this. Definitely with Necessary Evil. Thanks for being in here tonight. Everyone, Necessary Evil too, especially with your experience with all this. And moving forward, we could do something. I'd love to hear Frosty's angle on it because he has like a local angle. Maybe we could even talk. I don't know if that police chief or the police lieutenant or detective still around. Maybe we could talk to him. It would be interesting, huh? Okay. Well, thank you all very much. We're in an hour 20. It's 10 to 12. Coach Kev time here on the East. So I'm going to stay up a little bit longer because I'm all jacked up on Mountain Dew. No, I'm kidding. I don't drink Mountain Dew anymore. But I would like, before I go, to say to everybody, happy Wednesday night, almost Tuesday morning. Yeah, because we go fucking backwards. Happy almost Thursday morning. and tentacles to you all so everyone could have a drink. And I'll be back soon with something. I'm not sure when, maybe Monday, possibly before. But I got a lot going on this weekend. Coach for Kids tomorrow again. We'll be doing that. I work Friday. It's going to be 75 degrees in the port, and it's a Friday night. And we are going to be running our asses off, I'm sure. But it makes the day go fast, right? I guess. All right, everyone. Thanks very much for tuning in. Thanks for everyone that voted. Thanks again to Reg Dunlop for mentioning this, and I got into it. And I'm probably actually going to go watch. I might watch some. I'll see what's on if any creators have anything. But if there's nothing new on that I haven't seen necessarily, I'm going to go watch more Israel Key stuff and just add to my notes a little bit for when we do this again. But thanks, everybody. Thank you all. Thanks for the thanks that you're giving, and thanks for coming in. Much appreciated. And I'm going to let you guys go now. So enjoy the rest of your Wednesday and Thursday and the weekend if I don't talk to you. Coach Kev.